12:30, and I tell you the governor gonna be early today, right? I did tell you that, and it's exactly 12:30, and he's here with us and ready to tell you what's going on and where we're gonna take this islands and everything. And boy, he looking sharp, he looking sharp for sure. Like to say good afternoon to the governor. Good afternoon, governor.
Good afternoon, Mr. B. Good afternoon, Virgin Islands. Good to be here and have an opportunity to speak with you. Seems like just the other day I was here.
Yeah.
I hope you guys miss me. We've been doing a lot. We've had a really good year in terms of our finances. And, I had a discussion with some people last night, and they were saying, how terrible this year is. And at the beginning of this year, right before I did the State of the Territory, I invited the entire cabinet to go to church with me. And we had a good State of the Territory. And they just sent me a note saying, "Are we going to do that again this year?" And I said, "Yes." Even with the COVID. But I thought to myself, we have been so blessed this year because COVID is going to come, hurricanes come. And in my discussion last night, I was telling people when I planned to be governor, I planned for some sort of disruption that was going to cause us a recession. And the reason why is because I'm a student of the political history here in the Virgin Islands. And if you go right back, right, you could go all the way back to Juan Louis, who had Frederick and David. Then you had Farrelly. Governor Farrelly had, is Farrelly coming next? Yes, Farrelly. Farrelly had Hugo. Then you had Snyder. He had Marilyn. Then you had Turnbull. He had 9/11 and the dot-com crash recession. Then you had DeYoung, who had the WAPA crisis, the Great Recession, Great Global Recession, and then Juventus shut down. Then you had MAP, who had Irma and Maria. So you knew when you were elected, you could plan on having a natural disaster or on some other type of disruption. And even last year, this time, even before in October, I was telling the legislature, we have to be prudent and conservative with our budget because a recession is coming. Now, I didn't know it was going to be in the form of a pandemic, but such it was. And throughout the year, what we did was we lowered our budget and our expenses in order to accommodate for the economic backlash because we knew people were going to be sending in less taxes, doing less well in our community very early on. So we reduced our budget from 860 million to about 760 million voluntarily. And we set about cutting our expenses just the same. We eliminated all the vacancies. And even in that, we had a record year. Never before has the Virgin Islands paid out $65 million in 1 year and $110 million in the first two years of service in the administration, the Bryan administration. The collections this year were $872 million. It's a record. The collections for taxes this year, I think it was $453 million. That's a record, never before done. The collection for land taxes this year is up 30%. It's up, income tax is up 40%. So we were able to satisfy not only collecting the taxes, but paying them out in the terms of tax returns, which we continue to do this week as we issued another $5 million in tax returns, and we're going to issue another $10 million probably next week or the week after in time for Christmas. We've issued $94 million in unemployment insurance, never before done ever in the history of the Virgin Islands. No administration has ever issued, I think the highest was probably like 30, 35. $90 million in 8 months. $72 million in stimulus checks. I gotta tell people, the deadline is passed for you to submit your taxes But I want you to pay attention to the radio, because if you haven't got your stimulus check yet and you filed your taxes, there's going to be a hotline set up so you can call in, tell them your social security number, so they could tell you why you're not getting your check or cut that check for you, because I want you to have money for Christmas. I know people are hurting out there, and we want to get every penny done. We have $13 million more, and we want to get that money out. So they trickling in and we getting checks out, but we want to make a big push so that we can get you to get that money for the holidays. And we're going to continue to distribute the $13 million, because there's nothing we can do with it. $120 million this year in business loans to the Virgin Islands, $15 million in WAPA payments, paying everybody's light bill, never before done in the Virgin Islands. Some people for 2 and 3 months. $1 million in aid to students. Every student from the Virgin Islands got up to $1,000 if they applied to go to school, if they're going to a secondary institution. So over $40 million in healthcare infrastructure in the last 8 months, and I'm being conservative on that. So far we've tested 30% of our population for COVID, and right now we're doing pretty good, but we're slipping. Thanksgiving is, just as we suspected, causing us to have a little bit of a uptick in numbers now. So I know people are planning holiday parties. Please don't. For New Year's, don't. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm guaranteeing you this. And I really, really don't want to shut down the economy again. We're going to go to, just giving you previews of what's coming up. We're going to go to 100% testing. So if you leave the island, you're not coming back unless you get a test. If you return without a test, you'll be charged for a test at the airport. So we just want to keep people as safe as possible. It's our only option now, because the United States mainland is raging with COVID at this point. So like I was saying, we want to keep everybody safe. Do not plan holiday parties. Do not plan to go to anybody's holiday party that they invited you to. We're investigating cases now where we had people who had large Thanksgiving. We had one case where, they had over 25 people at the dinner. 12 of them have COVID right now. St. John is on the uptick. We had 9 cases there yesterday alone. St. Croix is no different. St. Thomas, we're all on the uptick here. So we're doing good as a community, but Thanksgiving was really as we predicted, and that's why we slowed down the government and have less people reporting to the office this week, because we don't want to get that spread. If you're feeling sick, stay home, get yourself tested, call the Department of Health, the hotline, and get yourself a test. So what I came here to talk to you about really today is the securitization, or the refinancing of the $1 billion for the Virgin Islands government. And when I sat and thought about this, and it has its people that are against it, and I wanted to give people an opportunity to ask questions, because there are certain key points that the public needs to understand. The first one is, we are not asking for any more money. So we're not going to the bond market to get any more money than we already have. This would be like what we're trying to do is get a lower interest rate. So you're going to buy a car. What do you want your car loan payment to be at, 6% or 4.5%? We're looking at a 25% decrease or more in the interest rate. We're doing this because we need working capital on projects, and we need to help the GRS system start to get an influx of money. There is no other reasonable or sizable or even a consideration of an idea that would generate $400 million without, and I have to stress this again, without borrowing an additional dime extra. We're not getting any more money than we have already. I gotta say it again, we are not going back for any more money. The people who are against this, you gotta ask yourself a question. It cannot be that they're against us getting our money borrowed to us at a lower interest rate. Because if you're saying, okay, we could get this. We go into the store and somebody tells us you want the one for $100, or you want the one, or you could get it for $75 if you use this coupon. And we're saying no, we rather pay 100. I don't understand the argument. If somebody out there could explain it to me, I would be happy to listen to it. But for most of us, we understand is if we're getting a 25% discount on something, why wouldn't we take it? That's number one. There hasn't been anybody who really said, you know, refinancing our debt is a bad idea. I haven't really heard anyone say that's a bad idea. So we'll assume it's a good idea. So the other part is paying back the debt in a way that frees up $400 million in the front part of the investment to address some of our needs, mainly GRS. So what is it? Are they against giving money to the GRS? So if you're against giving money to the GRS, say, I don't want to give any money to the GRS. I just want you to get a discount. And I want to be able to take that money and save every year on what we pay to our investors who invest in our bonds. The whole argument about the special purpose vehicle, we have already approved, we already gotten the special purpose vehicle approved. We're going back to the legislature because they gave us sunset dates on the legislation. As you know, or may not, we originally were trying to get it done before September 30th. The reason why that is significant, because we had $100 million payday. We had to pay out $100 million on October 1st. If we closed on the loan before the payday, we wouldn't have to pay that money out. Now that opportunity is gone, but we have another payday in March. If we do this properly, we won't have to make that payday, and that money will give us the $85 million that we talked about in this year, $85 million next year, $85 million the year after that, giving us $255 million in the first 3 years, and then about $20 million every year thereafter for the next 8 years. So when you look at this, I this time I said we got it passed last time. This is the first thing I want to explain to the public. This was already passed. We're just going back to change the dates basically now and remove the interest rate cap. And people say, okay, why are you removing the interest rate cap? Remember, for some reason it is ingrained in the hall of politics that the legislative branch is supposed to oppose the executive branch. I don't know why it's like that, but that's what has been perpetrated, carried on from the first. We are working together. We represent the same people, the people of the Virgin Islands. We're going to buy a car, let's put it that way, and we want to get a car at 2% interest. But the bank is, they want to sell it, give it to us at 6 because they want to make as much money as possible. It is not good for us to be going in saying we're capping it at 4.5%, because then the market knows, well, they're willing to pay 4.5%, so they're going to say 4.5%. We would like to get it for less, and that's why we want to remove the cap. We've told the legislature, we've included it, that the bond deal must generate the savings that we said it's going to generate. It must have the 255 in the first 3 years, the rest of the money over the next 8 years, and then it must save money over time, X amount of dollars. We agreed to that. But we're negotiating with people who pay attention to everything we talk about. They know what the public is willing to do. They know what the legislature is willing to do. So you're negotiating with all your cards on the table, which is very difficult. We need the market to see that we hold hands as a government and we're going forward to get this done. And like I said, it's either you're against giving the money to the retirement system, but no one can say that getting the money refinanced is a bad idea. It has to be, if you're saving 25% on the interest rate, it has to be a good idea. as I move forward in trying to get problem solved in the Virgin Islands, people have governors, leaders have walked away. As your governor, I see I have two roles. The first one is representation. As a people, as a governor, I represent the people. I represent you in the way I carry myself, the way I represent myself when I go to Congress, to the White House, to people of other nations. I represent myself as a Virgin Islander to our young people and an example of how to behave and my decorum and whatnot. That's a representation. I also represent you in terms of communicating what it is you want to Washington, to investors, and to the legislature, so to speak, as well as to our public. But there's another part of my job, and it's called leadership. There's no value in repeating what somebody else says. So I don't add value to the game by saying, well, the people say they want a pothole paved. Well, anybody could repeat that. You could record yourself and play that. As a leader, I have to look at all the things that are going on and cast a vision for the Virgin Islands. I have to look at our problems and come up with new ways, creative ways, in order to solve them. And then I have to go and go forth and get those things done. And sometimes trust, as we say, is imperative. We need it. I have to have it. From last year and the year before, I told you the most important thing is transparency and trust in government. We have been good stewards of your money. For the last 2 years, we've come in under budget. All our GRS bills are paid up to date. Every single WAPA bill for the government is paid up to date, and they still owe us a credit. We have been stewards of your government and brought the budget under. We've paid back the people their tax returns in front of paying government employees and whatnot. We have put the people first. We have made sure that every single payday we came through, even through the pandemic. And we still have $60 million sitting that we were authorized to borrow from the legislature. We didn't need it because we cut our expenses to make sure that we pay yours, to make sure that our commitment to the people to pay those tax returns and pay them on time will be met. Not overnight, but we continue to work towards that goal. And it's this trust that you have to be established in order for me to tell you we're trying our earnest to solve the retirement problem. The people have said from last week, week before, they don't want to pay more taxes. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. When you come to a realization sometime and you reach the fork in the road, is either this or that. You're either going to go this way or go that way. We don't have many options when it comes to the GRS. We have a couple of ideas that were brought forth: the cannabis bill, the securitization of the refinancing, going to Treasury, getting another distillery, looking at a way of borrowing from the bond market to get a sizable amount of change into the GRS. These are the options that we have before us. And right now, we have a couple that we can take. It is good to talk about, we might get the fairy godmother or Santa might come this Christmas and grant us the ability to fix the GRS. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been 40 years that we're talking about this, and we have not taken definitive action to do so. The whole point of this is that not only do I feel it in the terms that it's a tough thing to do, what really scares me is that if we can't make these simple decisions to refinance a debt we already have, the same amount of money, then how will we find the will to do things like cutting retirees' salary? How will we find the will to pass legislation to allow for people to retire later so that we can have money left over in this system? You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. It's not sustainable to work for 30 years and get paid for 50 years. The math just does not add up. We are going to have to make serious changes to our GRS system in order for us to make it sustainable again. This decision on refinancing debt that we already have on the market is an easy one compared to those that we have to make. If we don't spend our money right and be conservative this year, the economic tidal wave that is coming our way globally because of COVID, we won't be able to sustain it. We are doing the work, we have done the research, and we have invested time and earnest interest in getting some solutions to the table. But we have to act. Because if we don't, then nothing happens. Except no decision is a decision in itself. And eventually, whether I like it, you like it, the Senate like it, there will come a time when that money in that system will run out. And a lot of us would not be able to survive. People in nursing homes, people who are surviving on fixed incomes. We have to act as quickly as possible to secure the money to put into the system. I'm like you. I would much rather have a situation where we didn't have to take out any of that money. And we could just lower our payments and let it ride because we have enough cash. I was telling an earlier interviewer today, you know, I remember the days of 3 days cash, 2 days cash, 1 day's cash. How much money the government have on hand, how much money we have to spend. We're at 50 days. So, as a good steward of your money, I am asking the public for their support in pushing forward a piece of legislation that would allow us to gain the liquidity that would allow us to secure our future and the future of future retirees for generations to come. Thank you. I'll take some questions now, Mr. B.
Okay, give you a little break there. You've been talking a long time.
Living in the positive, and I know good, we conquer evil. Jah is here amidst the battle, and I know love will overcome hatred. Oh yeah, living in the positive. Oh children, let not your hearts be troubled. Wipe away your tears and fears, 'cause I know love will conquer evil. Oh yeah, and even through my darkest nights, oh, fear not, Jah is on my side to protect I. Oh yeah, and even though the rods are against side, oh yeah, fear not, though my chances are slim, yet my hopes are so high. Living in the positive, and I know good we conquer evil.
Okay, we get 5 minutes before 1 o'clock. The governor gonna be here up to about 2 o'clock. If you're keeping it longer, you may get a less 5 minutes. But we want to now take it to the phone lines, and don't forget, you got to be respectful to the governor, whatever. Need you to ask the questions as nice as possible and get the nice answers, okay? So let's take it to the phone line. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, man.
Good afternoon, Governor, and to the listening audience.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I got a few questions and a few points to raise respectfully, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you mention about leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
One pet peeve I have with this retirement package that I can't remember which legislature signed it into law, when they increased the judges, the governor, you know, like the administrative branch and the legislative branch, gain them 100% after X amount of years. I don't know how much you guys pay into the system. I paid into the system. I'm retired now. So this affects me in a big way, right? But as a leader and as leaders, the senators, I know nobody don't want to take any cuts, right? But to begin with, we're talking about this GRS thing. Let me try and be quicker, right? And get straight to the point. We're talking about the GRS issue, right? 100%. I mean, we all know that really ain't fair for the legislature to get 100%. I remember I was working when a few of my co-workers that started working already, instead of thinking that they could retire after 20 years, they had to do an additional 5 years, right? Class 3 employee. And in that same bill, the senators, judges, and governors, lieutenant governors, they would receive 100% after 2 terms for governor, which is 8 years, 12 years for the senators, I think it was. And, you know, I don't know how much you're paying. But anyway, the next point is...
Yeah, but I want to, before you go so respectfully, I just want to clear something up, because one of my pet peeves with radio programs is when we don't correct things and then people keep repeating them. So, first of all, the governor is not part of the retirement system. The governor is part of the regular government payroll system that they passed it a long time ago, and this is what I've been advised, that the payment is so you never have a governor that's destitute. You will have somebody who's governor lost with no money or whatever. So, and that is, they get 40% for the first term and 40% for the second term. I pay into the retirement, I pay into that system of governors. There's no limit on that. I pay 14, I think it's 14% of my pay goes into that annually. I think it's like 500 and change a pay period or something like that.
Okay.
But
let me interject quickly, right?
One more thing. The senators don't get 100% of their retirement. What it is after 3 terms, they become eligible for retirement under the legislative
6 years.
Right.
And
government
under 12 years.
In the regular retirement system is 10 years, I think, to be vested. The other thing is, I too am a retiree of the government, not a retiree, but I'm a beneficiary member of the government. Now I lose my retirement when the regular government retirement. Now if I go to the legislature, I'll be able to collect another one. So just to set the record straight, so we know we're talking about the same thing about how the retirement system works, and I agree with you. There is a lot of controversy around it, but a lot of the information that people repeat is incorrect. It is not true you to get your 100% retirement as a legislature after 6 years.
But it's significantly more than a class 3 employee, right? You mentioned about the something to say. That's why. Okay, you say you pay about 14%. To receive 60%, right? After 20 years, I was paying 13 point something. That's 60% after 20 years, right? Okay, and the next thing, let me get to the next point quickly, because I know other people want to call too, right? I just heard, because I so busy I don't get to read things and stuff and listen to all the radio and all that. I just heard recently, just this morning, that and plus the other day, that you were backing Senator Francis with the bill to add the surcharge or whatever it is to the orders, right? I'm going to tell you a few things about that. You know as well as I know, all of us know, we can't get anything on St. Croix or in the Virgin Islands. COVID make it even worse, right? Yeah, the government is strapped for money, but we, who is the base and the essence of the economy, we strap for money too. We ain't getting our taxes. We ain't getting any more relief. And then, like, now to add more tax, that will stagnate the economy even more. You know, because we are the economy, not them in this industries that will come here and get all the tax break that we can get, right? And then the cannabis bill. A few in the legislature.
One second. You're taking up a lot of the time. I'll cut loaded here with a lot of people.
I want to address what you just said, right? So you're saying when we do the tax analysis, right? I want you to listen to this, because I say it a lot just so people could kind of understand. There are 33,000 taxpayers in the Virgin Islands. You get a part, right?
Yeah.
89 people, 89, pay 66% of all the taxes. So when you say that people who come on the EDC benefits or whatever and they come here, those people pay taxes on their worldwide income. They only get tax breaks on what their company is here, but all the other money they make. The other thing I want to point out to you, if you add another 3,000 people, That's another 20%. So 3,000 people out of 33,000 people, 10% pay like 89% of all the taxes in the Virgin Islands, income tax. So when people say we don't get tax, and the people we can't survive any tax. Let me tell you what the remote sales tax government. I don't want. I see people, keying in on the good Senator Francis. DeYoung proposed this. MAP proposed this.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, they all did, but could we continually, even in now, and we can't figure out a way to do it legally, and that's why it's never moved forward, and that's why the senator took it off. But it actually, the reason why it came about originally was not to generate money, because remember I tell you, we have enough money now. Senator Francis wants to give it to the retirement system, but it actually hurts local businesses, because you could buy the same thing from a local business here, but they already paid a 5% gross receipt taxes on it. When you buy it for them from the states, you don't get that. No,
I understand that part.
So
I understand that.
It helps local businesses compete with the states. I mean, we would love to get rid of the gross receipts and get a direct sales tax, but that's a complicated issue. So it's not only about taxation, it's about encouraging people to spend local in order.
Yes, I understand that, but the point is, we willing to spend local, but if you don't have anything in the bucket, you can't take anything out of the bucket. We can't get soap, we can't get the basic necessities 90% of the time. So what you have to do, you need it, you have to get it from somewhere. And right now, we strapped for money too, and we don't see anything coming in. So we spend in the same stores that you collect the gross receipt tax from, right? So the more we spend here, yes, I understand that. But the more we get taxed, the less we're going to spend.
Okay, we understand. Okay, Carl.
Right.
Okay, Carl.
All right, thank you for the thing.
Yeah,
Okay, man.
I totally respect what he's saying, and I understand it. I mean, I shop in the grocery stores and in the places too, and I understand what it is. But the other thing that people have to understand is the way that we wrote the law, it wouldn't count for every purchase. It's only certain purchases with certain individuals, because if you change your zip code, for instance, and you go and you order something, you'll see the tax come on. Plus, people pay the shipping. The shipping is often, you buy something for $5, the shipping is $10. So we understand what the public is saying, but what we're saying to you is, there's the same analogy I made when I appealed to the public. We all live in this house called the Virgin Islands. We want our lights on at night. We want the potholes paved. We want to be able to take the homeless off the street. We want to be able to take and have human services and other programs for our children. We want to be able to fight crime and pay the police and give the teachers raises. But you can't the money doesn't come from a magical place. We have to work together and figure out how to do it. Right now, we're doing good in terms of taxes, but we have a GRS problem. Okay, you don't want to pay any taxes to support the GRS, that's fine. But there's another option. There is the securitization, there's a legalization of cannabis. These are all new money revenue streams that will allow us to do that without impairing the public. But I'm a little at a loss when you're saying, well, we don't like any of the options, but we have to move forward and we have to solve this problem because there's too many people depending on this system.
Okay, let's take it back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good, thank God. Good afternoon, Governor.
Good afternoon.
Roberto James here.
Hey, Roberto.
Listen, I really did my best to bring in money to your treasury. There are thousands and thousands of acres of land here on St. Croix and St. Thomas and St. John that are getting farmland tax exemption. The tax assessor asked us to stop these violations, and it still continue because the commissioner wants to turn a blind eye. I know for a fact that you could do with that money in the treasury, because farmland tax exemption to grow kasha and tantan, Governor, no man, that's a waste. It's a blatant violation, and Mr. Mills asked us to stop that. I want to quickly say something before I pose my question.
That's a good point you make there, though. I didn't know you were on that quest. I will investigate that.
Governor, I have been working trying to turn around agriculture, but me and your commissioner butting head because he doesn't want to do right by the people. Governor, I'm home for the last 4 months on administrative leave, waiting for you to take action on a recommendation. I'm not getting no money. I can't even go to unemployment. I'm asking you publicly, please give me some leeway. Give me a documentation or something where I can just leave your administration and I can at least get something to eat. Now, Governor, I'm really concerned about the special purpose vehicle because you're saying you don't want to put the cap on it, the interest rate cap. But, Governor, right now we're paying 6%. Right. Why would you go to the market if we're going to pay the same 6%?
Why would
That's why I believe.
That don't make any sense, right?
No, it don't make no sense.
Why would I do?
Won't you accept the cap?
But like I explained further, we know what our mental cap is, but when we go in to cut a deal with somebody, we don't want them to know what we're willing to pay. Do we? If you go into you go and buy a car, you going into the deal and you having a discussion on the radio, man, I plan to spend $45,000 on the car. When you go in there to the dealer, he gonna say the price is 48. But you say, but I can't afford 48. Well, you could take 45. Well, yeah, that's what you say on the radio. We'll take that. I mean, that's all we're saying. You know, we can't have a discussion saying this is what we're willing to pay publicly, and then expect the market to do differently. All we're saying is allow us a chance to negotiate a rate because we want to make the savings. I mean, you know, I don't know who don't trust who. The legislature don't trust me, or they don't trust the people that we have paying to advise us. Everybody wants the Virgin Islands to get the best deal. That's what their job is. If they don't perform, they get fired. I get fired too. So who is the person that this mistrusting is like, I so foolly going to the market and saying I gonna refinance it at 5.99%? Come on, give me some credit, man. I mean, and that's why I don't understand with the legislature and us. It's like we working together. We working on behalf of the people of the Virgin Islands. If I send down something and you can make it better for us. But if you can't make it better, then don't dog it and throw it all over the place and rag it up. And because you don't have anything else to offer. If all I got to eat in my house is corned beef, well, it's corned beef we go eat. You can't cuss me and scan me about my corned beef and then leave me hungry, throw my corned beef in the garbage. We have to work together and eat with corned beef. That's all I'm saying.
Governor, there's a lot of mistrust going on around here. People say one thing in your face and do something else behind your back. I'm not worried the fact that I work hard to campaign for you. I'm not worried about it because we have to separate as man and go where we have to go. Let us do that. But Governor, we want to be able to feel comfortable knowing that, you know, we're going to get less than 6%.
You're going to get it.
We think at least putting a cap on it. You know for a fact when you go out there, we know when you put it out there, we know you ain't gonna put us in this predicament.
Sir, I mean, Roberto, I'm a Virgin Island. I live and born here. Ain't going no place else. St. Thomas, St. Croix, live everywhere. My heart, neighbor string, and my commitment to the people of the Virgin Islands buried right here in the Virgin Islands. There is no way that I'm going to allow anybody to take us to the market and say, oh, we want 501. We have a goal of saving this money. We told the legislature, we're telling you publicly, this is what the money we're trying to save. If we can't save it, then we don't have a deal. We don't have a deal.
Your commissioner taking you for granted because there's a lot that could be done at agriculture to really turn around this economy for our local farmers. And it's a lot that he doesn't even want to listen, Governor.
Listen, so right Roberto, here I have a letter on my desk for you for over 4 months. I wouldn't sign it. Me and you gonna sit down and talk. We're gonna talk on the radio, all right? That's my promise to you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, bro.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, man. Thank you for calling. Let's take it to the next phone line. Good afternoon. How you doing? Hello. Okay. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Great. Okay. Good afternoon, Governor.
Good afternoon.
Cool. I think I'll start with what you're here on the radio for. My initial question is, what are the cons of the SVP? We all know what's the benefits of helping us. You know, it's basically just refinancing the loan and so forth.
Okay.
But what are the cons? What future problems could arise if everything doesn't go as planned?
Okay,
That's
so
one.
That's a fair question. I like that. Thank you. So after 10 years, the amount we pay escalates up to the 20th year. So we could get in a situation at some point if Diageo was to unfortunately go out of business or something, or Cruise and Rum, where there were not enough rum proceeds. But then it would be a default of the SPV, not the Virgin Islands government. And these what if scenarios, I mean, that could happen now with everything we have going on the line. What are the cons of this? I don't know. I can't think of any other real negatives in looking at this. I mean, it's like refinancing your house. The other thing, it costs money to refinance. So, for maybe by some great prowess of my administration, we were able to find a way to fix the GRS on our bond rating. Gets excellent, and now we can't go back to the market for whatever reason to borrow at a lower rate. I can't imagine a situation where that would happen, but.
Well, my suggestion was definitely they have to have some type of cons there, and when you do find them, bring it forward and be forward with it and present solutions in the event something happens. Like you said, after 10 years, Diageo might leave or whatever the case. Present a solution that we can provide, or that you, the government, can present in the event that Diageo leaves. We have like some type of safety net.
But
my second question is, where would that money,
can I
money that we
finish?
have?
I want just before you finish the thought and you move on. That's the reason why I come on the radio, because I want other people to say, okay, what their concerns are with this. That's the reason why we've had like 6 meetings with the legislature, at least, on this, so they can have the opportunity to say the cons, and we've answered some of all those questions. The things that they didn't because they pointed out some things to us, and we changed them in order to accommodate them. So we working together. If there's something there that's not right, that is logically you can explain to me. And I say,
communication.
We need to fix that.
Communication. That's what it is. Communication. People, like you said, people don't actually read the bill and all that stuff. It's really communication, and we depend on you guys, as the officials, to relay this information to us properly, because we can't read the jargon and all that stuff as much. But we need you guys, like you're doing right now, to come on the radio and explain these stuff and break it down to reassure us that this is something that's going to be good for not only the government but future Virgin Islands.
Right. But it just seems a lot of time that it's a personality fight. Certain people don't want me to be able to succeed in the administration, to be able to have a win, because
we know that we know that's how politics goes.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you had another point. You had another point.
My next I'll go to them real quick because I don't want to take up too much time. My other question is, where is this money going to? We know how the government is bad at managing the money. When we get this money, can we guarantee and say, hey, this money is going to GRS, this money is going to education, this money is going to, I don't know, police department or whatnot? Can we have a guarantee on that instead of just, okay, well, some of it's going to GRS and then the others is going into the general fund? Because we know management of money, especially for the VI government, is a difficult thing, is a problematical thing. We have had, we know how that goes.
So
one more question.
But let me answer that note, and I'm gonna let you answer your third question. So the first thing I want to say is that I started the conversation saying that as your governor, the Bryan Roach administration, my financial team has been a good steward of your money. We paid back the tax returns more than we ever had before in the history. We paid our WAPA, we paid GRS, all things that, remember when the WAPA bill wasn't being paid by the government, the people were carrying the burden by paying more, having to pay more of the LEAC, remember that? And when when the government wasn't paying GRS, it caused the GRS because they had to liquidate their assets. In the last administration, that was the case. Ours is up to date. We have been able to reduce our expenses. So now, when we finish the year, we actually finished the year with excess revenues. We were at 3 days cash. We're now at 50 days cash. We paid out. We actually have a credit at WAPA. So we have demonstrated where we're good stewards of the money. The beauty in this thing is, remember, this is only the authorization to get the money. Once the money comes, I can't say how to spend it. The legislature does. The legislature has the reins on this one. They get to decide if we're going to put it all to the GRS, if we're going to give some to the education. Now, just a little bit of side note. People will ask, why don't we say we're going to give all to the GRS? Because the way that bonds are rated, if you say you're going to give all to the GRS, then it's a pension obligation bond. It has a different tax status. That means the way that the money generated off the bond is taxed differently. So that's why we always say we leave all of these avenues open, working capital, the GRS, what have you. So that's the reason why we do that. But the legislature we have to come back to the legislature and say, hey, listen, we got this money now. How would you like to allocate it?
Right, and I definitely get that, but it always happens like that. Okay, but we're going to decide on it later. When it gets to later now, there's a whole heap of misunderstanding, miscommunication, and that money.
One more thing,
gets,
right? We don't need any cash, I mean, like I explained before, people say,
always need cash, Governor.
No, listen, we got 60 million. Banco Popular and First Bank put up 60 million for us to borrow from June, right? We haven't needed to touch that. And we're going into this fiscal year here now. The legislature got to change some dates on the transaction, but we have that 60 million sitting out there. We haven't touched it. So ain't like we don't need this money to do transactions for this year. We already have 60 million sitting down waiting. So that whole premise that, we got plans to do the government, we have more money. I just want people to understand the situation we're in right now. In the young administration, they wanted to borrow $500 million for capital projects for 8 years. We have $500 million in capital projects for this year. We have 753 for the year after. We probably have another 700 for the year after, and thereafter for the next 8 to 10 years. So we're not in a situation where we're cash strapped. As I explained, our taxes are record levels collections. The property tax is up 30%. So we're collecting the money. We don't need extra cash. We need to fix the GRS. And we have a unique opportunity now to do this. This is a funding stream. Remember, we just going to get back. The hearing is next week. The excise tax is $40 million more a year that we're going to get. We won't gain all the time. So we was doing this without the benefit of $40 million taxes in a year for the excise tax. So we have a couple of things that we can use now to go back and say, hey, listen, we want to borrow some money and put it lump sum in the GRS.
So my last question, AT&T, they've been digging up the roads and so forth and whatnot. Yeah. Only until recently I've seen locals working it. Why are companies like this, like AT&T, and I know we're going to come up that we can't do this stuff, but we have to put ourselves first every time. Why is the companies like this can come down here, they can work, bring their people from all, you can't do that in Puerto Rico,
But
Puerto Rico, you can't bring people from, let me finish, Governor. You can't bring people from wherever to come work Puerto Rico and just work here. We want to put our people first. If people come here to work here, only until people start to complain, then you start seeing our locals working here. Why was this allowed to happen? Why was AT&T allowed to do that? My second question, I'll attach to that. With AT&T digging and whatnot and bringing that stuff, wouldn't that put Bryan at risk as far as like the investment that we put into that? And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so I want this is the oldest myth in the world. So when I was labor commissioner, I actually went to the commissioner of labor and I asked him, I said, for Puerto Rico, and I said, is it true that if you work in Puerto Rico, you have to be a Puerto Rican and you can't come in there and work? And he started laughing. He says, all that Puerto Ricans complain about is people coming from all over and working in Puerto Rico, and they're not Puerto Ricans. So that's not true, first of all. It is not true. We have companies from here that actually do work in Puerto Rico. The second thing is that people forgetting when that contract for AT&T was led, which is months and months ago, the unemployment rate in the Virgin Islands was 4.9%. this is pre-COVID. We couldn't find people to work construction. We were gasping, looking for people to work. There were 3,000 people working in Hovensa. It didn't have anybody working. Nobody was complaining about not being able to find work. It was this project in Hess is the first project that we've had in the 30 or so years that I have lived in St. Croix that they weren't protesting outside because they ain't hiring locals. Because everybody was working. COVID caused the disruption of the market, and there are a lot of people not working now need work. The work is coming. And that's why ATT on the road, and they are responsible for fixing the road, yes, and they do. This is the 5G network that everybody here is chomping at the bit to get. That's what they're putting down, putting those things down. And yes, it puts our VINGN at risk, but the federal laws don't allow us to make them a non-compete and not allow them to bury the cable.
So VING with
Yes, but we just had some other developments that we're going to be announcing soon that also makes VINGN more viable. So those announcements you'll be hearing within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Thank you for your questions. It was really on point. I really like those.
Thank one point.
Okay. We got to get somebody a break. Hello.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Right. Okay, let's take it back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make a quick point. The cannabis bill is one option that I agree with. I was the first caller. I just wanted to make this point quickly. You mentioned something just a minute ago, right? You don't know what the problem is with you and the legislature, with personality and politics, right? I believe some of the legislature members are like the most like self-servant. Like, it's the will of the people that voted for this bill, and I think it's two legislature passed already. This is the second one, and nothing ain't happened with it yet. You brought something to the floor here. It had a lot of flaws. We didn't like a lot of parts of it, but nobody ain't addressing it and like treating it like a hot potato. And like I like a lot of things you're trying, innovative and a younger, fresher approach, progressive and not reactive. But you need to get like at least this legislature that are coming in. Hopefully you could be mature and professional and get together and brain this thing out, because taxing is hurting the people. Right. This industry, right? The last thing I want to say, this industry, the government doesn't have to put any money into it. They don't have to borrow any money. They just lend them a little money to start up, and it's going to be paid back. And that industry is going to sustain itself and put money into the economy. The government doesn't have to pay a penny after that.
That's right.
So, like, I think you guys really need to address it, and the self-servants in the legislature need to have a more open mind and take a look at it and look at Colorado and economies like that. Talk to people that live there and ask them how they feel about their economy, Well, anyway, thanks for the time again.
Okay,
thank you for that. But it is also imperative upon, the public. Everybody says what they don't want, get them a call sometime and say, listen, I support this, I want to see this happen, or X amount, I want to see that happen. Not just things like gain a road paved, but the bigger things, the policy things that drive our economy and help us not have to tax the people in order to get things done.
Okay, let's take about the phone lines. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Governor.
Good afternoon.
Carol Burke. How are you?
Hey, Carol. I good. How are you doing?
Thank you for your leadership, Governor.
You're welcome.
I was calling you because when you said the securitization, the debt refinancing was easy, I had to call, because it's important that you also understand, Governor Bryan, that ordinary people out here don't necessarily understand the mechanics of, or the inner workings of how you refinance that way.
Right.
But you sense really, because I was going to ask you to simplify the cost benefit, and you did that already. And I really think that simplicity is what people want, so that they totally understand and they're supportive of your initiative. My other concern is regarding, it's really rooted in the issue where the guy was talking about AT&T and bringing important labor. Like you, Governor, born and raised, they my as a generational cushion. Okay, me guy in a way.
Right.
But I tell you this, I was educated like most people on the mainland. I got my higher education on the mainland. And it bothers me when people say people coming here and taking walk. Because I know that I worked and I got an option to leave here if I so choose and pursue employment anyway, if I so choose, as much as our children and our parents and our grandchildren may choose to do. What we've got to do, and again, I was looking at what was transparent before the legislature this week, when the Commissioner of Labor was there, and I tell you, it was not a good look. I know, having experience in labor as well as you, Governor, that the dynamics of the unemployment system and having to manage that system ain't no easy task.
It is not.
It is not. I commend Commissioner Malloy.
I do too.
I commend him because he Governor, that the dynamics of per se, I know that.
Right.
But you assigned him that task and he took it on head on. I don't think it's fair to the people who need unemployment, who have issues, that have complications, that really and truly may qualify to receive benefits. That when we go before the legislature, there's so much emotions that's laid out. People truly hurting.
That's true.
You know, and so I said, well, you know, I did text the commissioner. I said, we gotta find out better ways to perhaps to communicate with those people who got problems.
Right.
Because nobody ain't like to call the government and ain't getting an answer. That is not a good feeling.
It is not.
And so that is what I wanted to share with you. That we've got to find somebody to answer that phone.
Yeah.
And we've got to find a way to return calls and deal with people's issues so that they understand why they're receiving the benefits or why there can't be movement. But I tell you, even though I'm saying that, Governor, I support the commissioner.
I know.
He is on the job.
It is our job to respond, and they recently opened the doors to people again, to actual customers coming in and helping customers. But I'm going to tell you, and I say it again and again, and I know you can appreciate it, Carol, working in unemployment claim. On an average yearly basis, you're talking about 3,000 claims in a year. 3,000 people come in and saying they want unemployment. And on average, about $7 to $8 million in a year. They have seen 17,000 claims. 17,000 claims in 8 months. That's 5 times, almost 6 times what they get normally in a year. And that is overwhelming. And the problem with unemployment insurance is not, there's 4 different programs that don't necessarily agree or talk together. But you're absolutely right. And I know people out there, and that's why we're doing our best to try to get people paid. And the unemployment is not shut down for the next 2 weeks, as the media has misinformed. Media has misinformed people. It's just that they're not taking any clients inside the building because COVID is on the rise this 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. Please be safe out there. So I want to thank you for that call, Carol, but you absolutely...
I got one more thing before you go, please.
Okay, go ahead.
The Department of Interior. I just want to know, as we're getting in a Democratic administration with Biden-Harris at the helm, do you have any plans to change how they perceive the Virgin Islands regarding federal and federal local relations, and especially since we have some issues, just like how you're talking about the GRS, we have challenges with inter-island travel and unrelated issues. Can you just, give us a glimpse of what you're looking at?
So one of the things that I think we're going to be very beneficial to us is that we actually have a relationship with President Biden. I had went to the Trump administration and asked them kind of like, what is your Caribbean agenda? What is your Caribbean mandate? And they didn't have one. So before I sat in office in December after I was elected, I sat with President Biden for 2 hours and discussed a lot of things about the Virgin Islands and things we wanted to do, and asked him, of course, about his race. So we're hoping that we're going to get an audience. Well, we're going to get an audience with him anyway, but a longer audience as we welcome. We send him a congratulatory letter asking him and congratulating him, and then, of course, inviting him home to his Virgin Islands. But the other thing that we're doing is that we're advocating, I don't know if the public knows, but Basil Otley, our former senator, is actually pretty high up in Department of Interior at this point, and we want the president to appoint him to one of his secretary or undersecretary positions, maybe assistant. We wrote it specifically for Assistant Secretary of Insular Affairs, which will give us a voice in Washington for the first time at that level in Department of Interior as a Virgin Islander. I think he can help a lot of this done, because the stuff we've been talking about for 30 years and we can't get it done. The other thing I've done recently is that I have applied to join CARICOM as a associate member, and they welcome that opportunity. So we just responded to them. We're supposed to get with them to actually have that formalized and us being accepted as a associate member, to build closer ties with our Caribbean neighbors. Ralph Gonzalez, the premier of St. Vincent, is now the chair of CARICOM. Mia Motley, the premier of Barbados, is stepping down, the prime minister rather. So we want to do more in the Caribbean now, especially because with the cruise ship industry and all these ships moving back and forth, we have to make sure we stay COVID free, and also to push the Caribbean agenda in the United States by having all people flying to the Caribbean from the U.S. to have a COVID test before they get on that plane. So these are conversations that I had with Prime Minister Chastanet of St. Lucia. And those are the things that we're trying to really, as a Virgin Islands now, trying to position ourselves as a player in the Caribbean economy in a real way. Other than freight and transportation, there's a whole nother thing going on too. The work that we're doing at the container port to expand our transshipment. We're building the new warehouses over there. I have some requests coming down for some other monies to do some things around marine. We're expanding the port in St. Thomas. We just got a $25 million grant from EDA. So a lot of stuff is geared towards positioning ourselves as that middle place between the U.S. and the Caribbean, and being able to get better relations with our partners. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Governor.
Great.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Okay, let's take about the phone lines. Good afternoon.
Hey, Governor.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. I'm a big fan of your communication skills, but you said something that almost made me fall off my chair.
What's that?
I thought the Virgin Islands was a tourism economy. We haven't had any tourists for a long time, right? Especially in St. Thomas.
No,
and
we haven't had any.
No,
cruise ships. We have plenty tourists.
Oh, we have plenty tourists. Okay. It's a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I was saying that we're doing so well, and we don't have cruise ships. I mean, when we start getting cruise ships, maybe we're gonna be even doing better, I guess, right?
Oh my God, we're going through the roof. I mean, imagine, right? This is what when we look at our position now, we're doing this well. The reef is closed. The Marriott Frenchman's reef is closed. Bluebirds is closed. Western, the Sugar Bay is closed. Canil Bay is closed. The DV is closed. Carambola is closed. Yes, so the money is there for us to be made. We're doing some things to try to get some of those hotels going to We're going to get some more good news on that. We get some people coming in, flying in to look at it, at land that we have here still. Surprisingly, people are really hungry about the Virgin Islands. So, yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing okay.
Yeah. Okay, and I have one more question, and that's about the what's the real story with the ballpark in Fredericksburg and the racetrack? What's the real stories?
So the ballpark is going ahead as planned. There was a lot of, the media, I really misunderstood. So we didn't know it was. We spent $60 million. We didn't know it was a floodplain. The ballpark didn't move from where it was. It was always in a floodplain. What's different is as the commissioner explained, is that we permitting the ballpark as we go. As you know, Governor Mapp turned the ballpark the other way, so we had some additional land that we purchased or in the process of closing on right now. And
did you turn it back around? Did they turn it back around to where it's supposed to be facing the ocean?
They drive 169 piles in that property. That was like $10-12 million that was spent. Just driving the piles, because it is swampland, it's lagoon. That's what it used to be before. So no, we continued. We didn't stop anything, and every day work is being done on the ballpark. But this new Clomar, the real story on that is they didn't submit it yet. So we just submitted it to FEMA. And remember, we changed up the plan a little bit too. So everything going beautiful as we expected. Of course, COVID is going to be a little bit delayed, but we're going to get the ballpark done. The money is allocated. Thanks to the legislature, they agreed to do that. We need some more money. We tell them that we needed 11, they give us 8, and we're going to go back for another 3 to make sure we get the ballpark looking right there in Fredericksburg.
Okay, and the track and the racetrack, one of my favorite things.
Yeah, the racetrack is just like, I'm in negotiations with VIGL, Southland, the Horseman Association. I haven't talked to the one in St. Thomas. I mean, we close, but when you it's a lot of little details. I want to see a unified track system. I heard a senator saying that we should split it and just let VIGL do St. Croix. One thing I just say, I get jacket. I thought it was a beautiful proposal that Governor Mapp had with the horse racing association and VIGL. Yeah, but the bad part about it was it infringed upon, or seems to infringe upon, the exclusivity in St. Thomas, and we get sued for it. I've been standing up behind VIGL, batting for them to try to get this done. But then COVID hit, so everybody took losses during that period. And the money just ain't the same anymore. So we're just trying to work something out. But
I think the young people need like between a little baseball, a little soccer. I mean, the young people need sports, a little horse racing. Yeah. I mean, and that's where we're lacking as a community. That's really one of the things, because it's more complex than that. But one of the things that we're definitely lacking as a community, and you know that because you're very pro sports, you're very pro young people. But, for these outlets, we really need these outlets. I don't know how to do it. I don't have any great ideas of how to do it. I'm sure a lot of people do.
So
But if you keep looking out for the youths and them, and keep them in mind all the time, because that's the way it is, man.
Thank you. We have a great commissioner of sports, park, and recreation, Calvert.
That's true, yeah. Yes, he is.
Right now, they're redoing the lights on a lot of these basketball courts. We're going to resurface most of those basketball courts. The money's already there. We're getting the workout to be done. The pool is in design now for Fredericksburg. That's going to get done. And then we're going to continue. We're doing the work for the gymnasium that's supposed to go at UVI. And we also have some repairs going on to Lionel Roberts Stadium. We're working on a cricket field for St. Thomas, relocating the cricket back to Nazareth. We're starting to move on that again. So we're coming out to the clouds, out to the dust of COVID, and trying to get some stuff done. But on the Parks and Recreation side, it's huge. We have the Clean Beach campaign now that we're running. And, we just sent down an appropriation to the legislature to get the Tinder dock in Fredericksburg done. I'm a big fan of scuba diving. So we're going to get that done. The fish market is about to open up, and I'm about to send down some other stuff around fishing and supporting that industry. Our marine is just blowing up. We just have charters in St. Croix, in St. Thomas, and St. John the BVI is closed, so we're doing really well there. But so we're trying to find things to do. We've got over $10 million, 400 jobs for young people in apprenticeship and on-the-job training that we have funded, ready to go. But the COVID, we gotta get this vaccine in and get it set up.
Yeah.
But thank you
but we want to thank you, man. We want to thank you for the job you're doing, man. We really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate that. I also want to say while I'm on here too that it is flu season. Please get your flu shots. If you are elderly like me, you need to go and get your flu shot. You can get your flu shots this week. There's a number of opportunities to do that. Today, November 5th. Sorry, Thursdays in December. Today at the Ag Fair grounds from 9 to 2. You're almost too late for that now. And then on the 10th at Charles Howard Modular Units, they're going to be giving out flu shots. And then the 19th at Pueblo Golden Rock. That's the flu schedule over here. I don't have the one for St. Thomas, but I'm sure that they're doing that as well over on that island. But they're giving the flu shot, and that's free. Please go out and get your flu shot. A lot of people are getting sick, think they have COVID, they have the flu. Go out and get the opportunity to get it done.
Okay, let's take it back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. Okay, let's take it back to the phone lines again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes, Governor, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, this is Lanban.
Hey, Lanban, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Let me say to you, some people might shock at this. I must give you high praises, though, for that initiative that you're trying to take as coming an associate member of CARICOM.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man. I think the Virgin Islands could only benefit from that organization.
Yeah.
I want to ask two quick questions on a glance. The first one is a family, the boy's family, trying to do a project at Coakley Bay. Building some condominiums. I'm sure you're aware of it.
I am peripherally aware. I know Mr. Boyce. He saw me passing and told me he needs to come and see me, but I haven't.
Okay.
But I heard there's a lot of contentions around him doing that project, and people are standing up against it.
Right. From your statement, you administration, you believe that you always support that project?
I don't see why we wouldn't. That area,
okay.
We have, with the GRS have some property out there as well too. I mean, if it's a condominium complex, we need housing. We really need housing.
Yeah, one of the reasons I asked that also because I don't know much people are aware of this because of the COVID. People from Great Britain, Canada, and the United States is looking for second homes in the Caribbean.
Absolutely.
And St. Kitts, Cayman Island, and the Turks and Caicos is running in front as far with interest as far as these people from Europe is concerned.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah,
so it'll be nice if the gentleman could get whatever help they could from our government. The last question, though, I want to ask is concerning.
While you're on that, before you continue, I just want and that's another thing that is quietly happening in all three islands too. Take a look at the real estate books that they have in the grocery store. Just pick it up and look through and see what the property going for. Our real estate market is really taking off. Average home price in St. Thomas St. John District, $750,000. Average home price in St. Croix about $360,000, $400,000. So there's a lot of action around people buying property. There's a lot of abandoned homes here I've been noticing. I count 4 on the way to the radio station. We need to start doing something too around getting these neighborhood abandoned homes and trying to get them back up before they turn into homes where this derelict and people hanging out in there doing drugs and stuff. So that's another initiative I want to work on. But go ahead.
Yeah, this last question here. Concerning this special vehicle that the senators were supposed to deal with today, but postponed until I think the 8th. What I really want to know, if when this bill completed, if it is passed, right?
Right.
The legislature will still have that power or that authority to call back the members of this board, the board members of this vehicle, to question them concerning in anything in any form, fashion or whatnot.
Absolutely.
That is for a fact. The legislature will still have that power to ask questions and got what must call it, a check and balance?
Absolutely. Actually, the legislature maintains the right to pick the additional board, not to pick them, but to confirm the board members from here on out. So they actually have to go before the legislature in order to get approved to be on the special purpose vehicle. Everybody, I think, except the governor. The governor is an automatic member.
Okay.
It might not be though. I think I volunteered to be a member, but even everybody who's on the board has to go before the legislature. The governor might be a member. I gotta go back and look at it. I can't remember right now, but yeah.
Okay, man. I think that's it for me for now. There's so many issues, but give somebody else a chance, man.
Thank you,
Okay?
Bill. Appreciate that. Take care, man.
Okay, let's take the phone line again. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, man.
Hello?
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Governor. How are you doing?
Excellent. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm calling concerning the horse racing industry and the racetrack. I know you just mentioned it a while ago about a lot of legalities in the situation.
Yeah.
But why is it you will allow the split, or let the split to happen as far as let Southland Gaming run St. Thomas and let VIGL run St. Croix, since they're claiming exclusivity in St. Thomas?
Why I don't want to do that?
Well, why you wouldn't think that's an option? I mean,
Well,
they have a free hand here as far as VIGL. They ain't got no obstacles here in
Right.
St. Croix, so why not just let it be the promoter here? Because the franchise agreement won't have to change much other than changing out the St. Thomas, the Clinton E. Phipps and Lane, Southland Gaming run St. Thomas racetrack.
So first of all, the biggest problem there is Southland really ain't interested in running a racetrack.
I know that.
So
I know that. They want to just run the casino part of it.
They don't want to run a racetrack. So that's a big part of it. The other part of it is, remember now, we have a deal. We have a signed deal with VIGL where they committed to spending a certain amount of money, putting up races, funding those races. I would like to see the deal continue as it is. I mean, the only reason why we're not going to fight this thing down in court forever, because we know even if we win, it'll be appeal, and it's going to be years and years before we have horse racing. When Governor Mapp signed this in to law, proposed this into the legislature, this was meant so that horse racing could have a farm industry foothold on the islands. That's what it was for. It wasn't for...
Yeah, for the whole Virgin Islands,
Yes,
exactly. But since we're meeting this big obstacle with Southland Gaming, that means they're going to never done, because then they claiming they don't want to run racing. They just want to run the racino.
But everybody
right?
to the table talking now. So is that option is not forgone, but everybody to the table talking now, and I think we're close to a deal.
Well, also, as far as a member of the Hasman board, I know already that VIGL would like to just exclusively run St. Croix racing,
Right.
since they're meeting so many obstacles in St. Thomas. So if that's the case, and ain't nobody else fault that Southland Gaming ain't want to run, but they didn't want to pow. So if they don't want pow for the Hasman them in St. Thomas and just collect half of the racino, everybody know racino is the revenues of the run horse racing. So how they going to take over the revenues for Clinton Phipps? So then what VIGL going to make to pop any pauses and what going to get the incentive to pop any money?
Well, you see, complicated too, because one thing you gotta say about VIGL, they have made a solid commitment to the Virgin Islands. I mean, they've already invested over $2 million by buying the land in St. Thomas.
Very true.
They've done the track, they do the shoot, they've extended the St. Croix track, and they actually don't have an executed contract. So the goodwill is there, and I would love to see that type of corporate steward have control of the boat tracks, because I really believe in horse racing. I long for the days when we had races and everybody go, and it's just a nice place for the whole family and everybody, and it would be under one thing, and we have one horse track with a commitment of $100,000 pause per race day.
But Governor, what you said is very true, though, and that sounds sweet in a utopia. But if Southland Gaming point up all this opposition, when we ever get to see that fruition?
We can get you, man. I can work on it. I just, it's like hoarding the cats, like they say. But we close, so we gonna get it done.
Yeah, I know the deals, though. I'm very fluent with them. But the deals them more catering to Southland Gaming. So I mean, it's like me and you put money for a business, and then a third entity reaping all the benefits. Then what we gonna do?
Yeah.
We can't be putting 100% and they're taking 30-40%. Then the portion that, and we got to pay the passes, we go keep the truck, we go build all the facility. Then how that gonna work?
I feel you, man. I understand, and I just try and bring the people. I like want my, I get a message the other day from one of my good past of them, and they tell me stay focused. What I'm focused on, I want horse racing. That's what I want. I want to track them back up, and I want us running. All right?
Yeah, you want the whole thing, but like I said, somebody got to do something with Southland Gaming, or they got to bend a little in some way.
I got it.
Because they got people and they part that run horses too.
Like my namesake, they'll say, keep your eye on the prize and don't blink. We got this.
Okay, man.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling, man. Let's talk about the phone lines. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Governor, you talked earlier in the very beginning about your image and, how you have to keep up with certain things. Do you know that you recently employed a young lady that worked in your security department that was implicated in a homicide?
In my security department?
Yeah, you just hired some new security at the government house, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, do you know that one of them were implicated in a homicide?
I have no knowledge of that. We do background checks. I'm not privy to the government house security. I'm not involved in the hiring. I sign eventually off, but my security team and the business office handle the hiring. But I'm not aware of any. This person committed a felony, killed somebody.
They were implicated. No, They didn't commit it. Their boyfriend committed the homicide.
Oh.
Okay? In fact, the same gentleman used a car that belongs to a high-ranking police official when he committed the homicide. But you wouldn't know about that because when you call government house, you leave messages for that you need to speak to the governor, and 4 years passed by and I couldn't speak to Governor Mack. So 2 years done, and I have not been able to sit down and with him.
So the person is working there from the MAP administration, you're saying?
No. They just recently were hired. They were just recently hired.
Oh.
Okay? And I spoke to someone that was supposed to have done a background check, and that's what they told me. Oh, we did a background check and they didn't come up. Well, you didn't do a good enough background check with that.
Well, I mean, upon your telling me this, of course, I'm going to go look into it and see what are the...
you know what you need to know, Governor? I really wish you would do? I really wish you would sit down and speak with me.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a message, and you can call me, and we can talk.
Well,
okay?
you have access to email?
Of course.
Albert.bryan@go.vi.gov. Albert, my first name, .bryan at vi.gov.
Albert.bryan?
Yeah. At vi.gov. All kind of people email me and I answer all of them, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be hearing from me shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a great afternoon.
Okay, let's take it back to the phone line. Good afternoon.
Governor Bryan.
Good afternoon, sir.
Pleasant good afternoon to you and your team.
Thank you.
I want to take the time to tell you how much I really appreciate you being here for the Virgin Islands government. As a young entrepreneur. You came in at a messy time, and there's a lot of work that you've been doing to fix a lot of things. You're only one person that could do 100 people's job.
Thank you. Appreciate
I really want to take the time out and appreciate you as a young entrepreneur and as a business person. It's your dedication and your hard work that you've been putting into the Virgin Islands as my home for me and my children and my family. There's only one little question that I have for you. Reaching out to you and trying to get in contact with your office in trying to set up a meeting or a conference call with you. Since the COVID, it will more than likely be a conference call or a phone call.
Okay.
I've been having a hard issue with that.
Shoot me an email. You heard the email I just get a lady? Just shoot me an email. I'll get a call.
Okay, what is the email address?
Albert.Bryan at geo at vi.gov.
They say albert.bryan.geo.
No, albert.bryan at vi.gov.
At vi.gov. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. I'll address it in the subject, and then at your earliest convenience, to reach out to me and everything. But I just want to appreciate you and reach out to everybody in your department, because it takes all of us to make something.
Right.
You know?
Thank you, brother.
We can't reach out to everything at once, but compared to what we had before, you're doing an excellent job, and I would like you to really keep up the work and keep striving for the top for all of us, please.
Thank you, bro.
Okay, thank you for calling, man. Okay. Let's take a short break. We're not going to destroy you. We're going to take a break.
Positive, and I know good will conquer evil. Jarizera amidst the battle, and I know love will overcome hatred. Oh yeah, living in the positive. Oh children, let not your hearts be troubled. Wipe away your tears and fears, 'cause I know love will conquer evil. Oh yeah, and even through my darkest nights, oh, fear not, Jah is on my side to protect I. Oh yeah, and even though the rods are against side, oh yeah, fear not, though my chances are slim, yet my hopes are so high. Living in the positive, and I know good will conquer evil. Jah is here amidst the battle, and I know love will overcome hatred. Oh yeah, living in the positive. Oh children, let not your hearts be troubled. Wipe away your tears and fears, 'cause I know love will conquer evil. Yeah.
Okay, we got to bring it back. And, the governor got about 3 more minutes to go. And, it's pretty rough for him to really think. But I just got one question only. I had a paper here with all kind of questions and a tick in the mask for the people call. But they miss one main thing, right?
You want to know what you want for Christmas?
Okay.
Is that the question?
But, Governor, we have a serious situation here in the Virgin Islands. And I don't want you to put it on the back burner. I just want to ask you a question here. Did you ever get bite by a snake?
Never.
Well, you wouldn't want to let that happen to you, right?
No.
We have a bad snake situation here, especially in Frederickstead, especially by the tower by us there, and where they just plant the cane field. We actually had about 5 snakes in there. We kept running to snake, big ones. My son went down the other day to check the transmitters, and a snake was right by the door, inside the burglar bars, waiting for him.
Wow.
I think we definitely got, and there was one this week where a lady had one by the side of her house, a big one too, and her child, I think it's a child, come in and say, Mommy, something out there in the bush, and it was a snake. So I think that need to be addressed. I don't know if you have ever heard about these things happening.
We have an eradication, invasive species eradication fund that we get from DOI. We have had a discussion with them about raising the amount of money that we get from that particular fund, because we've been talking to them about the snake problem, but that hasn't been raised in a while. So I know the commissioner is looking into it at DPNR, but I'm going to give him a call and see if he has any more because I think what they do in Florida is they have a season where they just go out and they pay people for collecting them, and that way it thins the population. But there are a lot of snakes now in Frederickstead.
A lot of snakes,
and they're moving east. They are moving east.
There's another thing there. The guy that takes care of the snake, I met him before. And there's a situation, I don't know how some people think, but if I had a guy and the only guy that actually go out there and assist with these snakes, who knows about snake, I would have been telling him, when you're ready to go see about your snake, punch your cat out. I mean, I don't know what kind of commissioner or whatever he is to tell a man that who is helping you to a situation with snakes that could destroy one or two little children one day. I don't know if he's waiting to hear that a snake bite a child and so on, and then he'll get a little serious. But I think that guy should be paid for going out and helping with these snakes.
Well, let me know who this guy is so we can make sure we take care of him. We get somebody out there who's good at eradicating this snake situation. We definitely need to be taking care of him.
This guy came there and I see him hold the snake. He got some things to walk with, which he trapped them, and then he will start showing us how long it is, and if it bite, and show the teeth how sharp it is, and different things. And he been doing that for a while free, but he's getting little problems with
What's
DP
his
and
name, though?
I don't remember the guy named the
Something
snake
with
guy.
a C?
Yes, I think that's what he named. Something who that touch base with him a lot is Firewalker. He actually works with him a lot.
Okay.
So I'll get Firewalker to call you and get that information of the guy and everything. But I think we should not have a guy around here helping with the snakes, and you're destroying him by not allowing him to go because he got to clock out first and all this kind of nonsense. I don't think that should be happening. That's a guy we should hold on and put him on the payroll for the snakes.
That's right.
You know?
We need that. So
yeah.
I'm going to find out who this guy is, the snake man.
Right, the snake man. But anyway, I don't have much more because my list gone short because everybody already asked the question. So we got about 2 minutes after 2 o'clock now, and I know you say you couldn't be here about 2 o'clock. So you want any last words before you get out of here?
Yeah, I got to head out to a board meeting. But, we trying to, I love your theme music, living with the positive.
Yes.
Nasir is always positive. I just want us to take a page out of that book and try, I want to do the best for the people of the Virgin Islands, but I need your help to do it.
Yeah.
I ran for governor because I want to be able to effectuate change. I want us to be able to have our books balanced and people to get education, our kids to be safe. These things, but these things, they don't come to it. Just like every Virgin Islander knows, nothing comes without hard work and sacrifice.
Right.
And it's just the same we have to do to make sure that generations after, we could take care of our seniors, people who have had public service over the years, and take care of our young people.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking you to give me a little bit of support.
Yep.
And all I have for you is love. So, have a fantastic afternoon, and God bless you.
Yeah. And the guy name, you just get a text, is Dr. Cole.
That's it, Dr. Cole.
We need to help that guy. We need to allow him, and he willing. He came here by the station, and he willing to teach people about snakes, if you ever get bite, what to do and all of that. And he's doing that in his own time. And I really think that we need to get more people involved in the snake situation,
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
Okay, thank you for coming,
Thank
man.
you, Mr. P, for having me on.
Yeah, man, and you're always welcome. Only sometimes I'll beat you up a little bit when I'm ready,
Well, everybody needs it.
Okay, man, thank you for coming.
Yeah. Living in the positive, and I know good.